All right. Welcome, all you wonderful people, to episode 9 Xbox Live Party Podcast USA stream. I'm your host, K.Y Bob, and with me, my good friend, Powerman 4K. And it seems to be just us two tonight. So,
You never know. You never know who's going to pop in.
I'd like to thank everybody for stopping in to see us. It's nice to see you, and it's nice to be seen. And we actually just started a Patreon for the YouTube channel, and you can get in there and get all the benefits for just $1 right now. And so, why not? Just do it.
Just pull the trigger.
Power
Just
Man.
make it happen. Let's do it.
Power Man, what have you been up to, brother?
I went and got a Series X today. I pretty much like set up the living area, so I have like a Series S off to the side, like kind of in a corner, kind of like a little entertainment cubby kind of thing. And then I got the Series X on the big TV. So, pretty profitable day today. I feel pretty good about it. Other than that, I've been finishing up on my Avengers DLC run, and then I'm going to be diving into Metro Exodus more than likely, finishing that up. So, just checking out that new Series X hotness, man.
So tell us, why did you need both of them? I mean, what the hell, brah?
Well, I mean, here's the cool thing about it is like the Series S is a little beast, right? It's grossly underestimated, and it's funny because I'm sure we're going to talk about it tonight, but it's interesting how things are playing out now, right? Like, now the Series S is becoming the de facto go-to. It's easier to pick up, right? It gives you a lot of options. It gives you access to RDNA 2. It gives you access to quick resume and all this stuff and all that stuff. And then now you're looking at just the resolution, right? Well, the interesting thing is like I got a little 1080p TV, and it was like a match made in heaven for it. You know what I'm saying? So
That's right.
I like having both. The wife gets to play on the Series S, and then she gets all the enhancements and all that kind of stuff. So it's a win, man.
All right. Well, K.Y Bob has been playing when I can NBA 2K22. I've had some recent upload issues here at the home, and me and my buddy Dealer, I keep getting kicked out of matches before I can even get my sneakers onto the court. I get dropped out in the lobby because my upload just tanks.
Yeah.
And it's not completely fixed yet, but I'm hanging in there. I finished the event, the Tensu event, and Halo Infinite.
Nice.
And getting into our what we're going to talk about, the first topic. As you can see, yes, your eyes do not deceive you. This is an Xbox centric podcast, but we are gamers, and this is a PlayStation banger you see on your screen. This is Days Gone. Which
how dare you play on another console, sir?
That's just hey, I will play where I want to play.
Exactly. How dare you be a gamer?
Right? Oh, so that brings us into our first topic. Jeff Ross, the creator of Days Gone, kind of threw out a little bit of that old Twitter ammunition on the out there on the metaverse, and he's not too happy about Days Gone, them saying no, we're not, we have absolutely no interest in making a sequel to this game that sold 8 million copies, went on to sell 1 million copies in Steam, we don't want to make a sequel to that game right now. We're going to make a sequel to Ghosts of Tsushima that last time I checked had the same exact sales numbers. It did get a lot better reviews than Days Gone did. I don't, and I can only, the only thing I can see for the reviews being bad is that yes, zombies and apocalyptic worlds are a little played out. I still like them. This is still a great game. I enjoy this game immensely. And it should have got a sequel. That's like that's like Undead Labs saying, you know what, we're just gonna work on something else right now besides State of Decay 3 because that genre is just played out. Or Dying Light 2 not having any zombies in it whatsoever. Oh shit, I said the Z word.
Uh-oh.
Not having any undead in it whatsoever. So I can see Jeff Ross's. I mean, this is your passion. You know, you make games. And when your project is turned down over another one and you've both sold the same amount, I don't know. It's sounding a little biased at Sony Entertainment. What do you think, Power?
I don't know, man. Like it is super strange. So when you hear about it and you think, man, you know, this game sold 8 million on PlayStation, sold 1 million after the fact on Steam. Man, that's a solid number. You know what I mean? Like that's a good number. You know, it had a 71 meta, and it dropped with some bugs and needed a patch. And I guess the reviewers really kind of took it out on that. I'm hearing a lot of people saying that, like, you know, Sony is really invested in Metacritic and like initial impressions and stuff like that. But that seems a little bit like of a cop out to me. You know, like it feels like they, you know, they abandoned this game and it really feels like the studio before. The only thing I can think of, me personally, is that they have another IP rolling and ready to go that they might think, you know, that their manpower can go towards, I guess, you know, instead of a Days Gone sequel. I think that personally, it's a huge missed opportunity. And although Ghost of Tsushima was more well received, I do think that, you know, that Days Gone has a lot for both graphically, story, open world. The interesting thing that they did with the hordes, right? That was an interesting take on the zombie. And really is probably one of the best implemented versions of the horde zombie mentality in a game. So I don't know. It's confusing to me, dude. I don't get it. Dude has obvious rights to be upset and wondering why Sony basically abandoned them in that project. So yeah, I totally don't blame him, man. He's, you know, for going out on the Twitter and to doing the thing, you know.
Well, two things. So, what Days Gone may have had a smoother release and a smoother reception if it hadn't been for the game that released right alongside it, or pretty much close to right alongside it, that really said, no, that's not how you do a horde of zombies rushing at you and climbing over things. This is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that game was World War Z.
Right.
And it came out in such a close window in comparison to Days Gone that, I mean, I know all my buddies were playing it, and you know, it's tough.
Yeah.
But
I get that. I get World War Z and stuff like that. I do think, I mean, in my personal opinion, I think Days Gone is objectively a better game. But also that doesn't matter whenever they had. I think it really does show that people's initial impressions of a game and how a game is received into the gaming community can make a huge difference on how a game, how the impact is received, right? And we see that from my first thought is to go towards, think of Sea of Thieves, right? Sea of Thieves initially was thought of as a bland sandbox with nothing to do, quote unquote, right? And now Sea of Thieves is like a highly played, It's always in the top of the Steam charts. People are always buying it, and it's doing extremely well. It's still getting content to this day. It's Rare's baby right now, apparently. So, it just goes to show you that the main thing that the Days Gone has against it, right, is the idea that, well, not the idea, but the fact that this game it's open world, it's single player. Like you can only add so much to this game to save it. With Sea of Thieves, Sea of Thieves was kind of a live service game, so they can go in there and start playing with it, adding stuff to it, and creating new fun things to do with this base foundation. Whereas with them at this point, like they just have their only other option would be to make a sequel, and I guess Sony decided that wasn't the move. So,
well, like you alluded to before about resources and moving resources from one project to another, it's not like they have 20-something studios like the big bad monster Microsoft does. Yeah, I think what are they up to? 12?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen it. I'd have got it. But yeah, it sucks. And that takes us to our next topic. Apparently, the company that believes in generations is going to continue to make PS4s. Refresh my memory power. Is Microsoft still making Xbox Ones?
Well, no, actually. It's really weird how the tables have turned in the last year to year and a half, right? It's super interesting. It's like early on in the PS5 series generation, PlayStation was out there throwing some punches, man. They were like, we believe in generations, right? And we're not going to hold, our games aren't going to hold back the next generation of gaming and all these things. And then as everything played out, I do think that probably was their plan, right? But this goes to show the power of large companies and what they can and can't do, right? So Microsoft says, and probably made the good idea, say, hey, we're gonna ease up on the Series X development and shipments, but we can get 2 Series S's out for the cost of silicon of 1 Series X. So let's crank those bad boys out. Let's update our Blade servers, and if somebody really wants to, they can jump on the Xbox One and access the Series X servers. The difference between Microsoft and Sony is Sony doesn't have that option, right? They don't have a large bolstering server blade library that they can access PS5 level graphics in the cloud. And what a crazy marketing strategy that would have been. Hey, play your PS4 and you can access via the cloud, play PS5 versions of Returnal or whatever, right? But they decided not to go that route. And now it feels like Sony's almost kind of fumbling and trying to figure out what to do. And this PS4 news kind of seems like a knee-jerk reaction to a corporate level movement of them trying to say, okay, we got to get something out here. We got to crank something. And we have all this leftover stuff from the PlayStation 4 era. Let's crank out a couple million more of those and hope that everybody just buys God of War and Forbidden West for the PS4.
Well, I mean, it's not like they have their lesser of their 2 systems isn't using any less silicon whatsoever. It is just minus a disk drive. While on the other hand, Microsoft can make 2 Series S's instead of 1 Series X. And I bet you I could walk into a Walmart right now and at least find one on the shelf. I mean, it's
a Series
really,
S. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
It's crazy.
I mean, I checked last night. I was looking at it, and I was like, I'm just going to randomly check and see if there are any Series S's in stock, just to see if what they were saying online was true. And yeah, I logged into Amazon, and it was in stock, ready to buy. So they're out there. And the funny thing is like people are acting like that's somehow an L for Xbox. And I'm like, dude, like the fact that they have these consoles available, what do you think somebody's going to do if they click on a PlayStation and they can't find one, and they click on a Series X and they can't find one, but they really want a console? Well, it may not be their first choice, but guess what? If it's the only thing that people can get a hold of, that to me is like a huge win for a potential lifelong client, right? Like somebody who can't find a PlayStation, but they don't want to play on a PS4. They want to at least get something next generation. So they say, okay, well, I can't find anything else. I'm going to jump into this. And then they get hit with the Game Pass ads, and then they get hit with all the games they wouldn't have had access to via PlayStation. And in a lot of ways, and believe me, I have even talked to a guy personally that happened to him. Couldn't find anything, ended up with a Series S, and now he's an Xbox player, you know?
And people come back to it's only a 500 gig hard drive. I got a Series X with a 1 terabyte internal, and I got a 1 terabyte expansion card and an 8 terabyte mechanical Seagate game drive. Guess what? They're all full. I still need more storage. You're always going to need more storage.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Games are getting bigger, they're getting longer, and they're requiring more space, even with the compression that's going on. I mean, dude, like if you have any kind of library, you're not putting your whole library in a digital SSD, man. You know what I mean? Like if you have any, even if you were just to fill up your game with free to play games, you'd probably fill up a terabyte, you know?
Again, I want to apologize to everybody for the stuttery video on YouTube. I don't understand it. On my end, it says it should be smooth. And I'm reading my readout right now in my system resources, and it's saying I've got the proper upload speed. I'm wondering if it's not something StreamYard's YouTube related. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, it could potentially be something to look at for potential research, you know?
Yeah, I may try launching a stream later on my YouTube channel straight from Streamlabs OBS and see if it's smooth. And it sucks too. But enough about that. This is the moment where Bob hops on his soapbox and says, you really need to go and check out the Xbox Live Party Podcast YouTube channel. We have got a plethora of shows now. We've got, I think it's 3 different shows a week now, and we've got several reviews a week. And these are reviews that you're not going to find everywhere else. These aren't your AAA reviews. These are reviews of the bag of games that may be that diamond in the rough, like Hades and Death's Door, games like that, indie games. And we have got so many reviews done by Ash, who also goes by I'm a Ghostbuster, which the new movie's great, by the way. But
I gotta check that out.
It's really good.
Is it good?
Check us out and give us a subscribe. We'd love to have you, and join our Patreon. With that out of the way, on to our next topic. Power, would you sit around and play a game for 500 hours?
Oh man, yes. If the game is good, like I've said before, I've got like several thousand hours in Destiny. I've got probably a few hundred in like Overwatch. If the game's good, I'll play it. Yeah, that doesn't scare me. Let's do it.
Well, that seems to be the advertisement that they're driving home with Dying Light too, that it will take you 500 plus hours to do everything in this story-driven game.
Right.
Now, I mean, so part of me wants to say, so did they go and do did they like take every side quest that you could do and add everything together and say, okay, well, you could do it this way and that's this amount of time, or you could do it this way and that's this amount of time? And then did they just try to throw out the most outlandish number they could?
Yeah.
So that everybody would go, oh crap, 500 hours.
I feel like to me, it feels like they almost said, okay, if they do a run through at every difficulty and do everything on that run on every difficulty, then they would get 500 and something hours of content. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what it feels like to me. Obviously, this is like the super high end, right, of probably what you're going to expect. I don't think that most people would get more than like 50 to 60 hours, it sounds like, out of the content, realistically. But I guess to me, the fact that it's there, I mean, I guess for like hardcore completionists, I'm not really like that. I like to get the story and get a good feel for the game, and then I'm on to something else. You know what I mean? I every now and then I'll go chase achievements, but I kind of like them to just happen naturally. I actually prefer when you're playing a game and the achievements kind of pop naturally. Especially like stuff like multiplayer things, man. Like when you got to go start, some like Gears of War, for example, man, like some of those achievements you got to get require you to play the ever living crap out of that game. You know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes I don't have it in me to grind a game that hard, but, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I say to each his own. I mean, hey, you're getting more value for your money, right? Like there's stuff there to do. So if you love Dying Light, which I know some people do, you got a lot of stuff to do, man, So I don't think that's a huge loss for them personally. I wasn't too upset about it.
So Thimber in the chat said, okay, they made a new post about it. And it's really not like 500 hours. LOL.
Yeah, I saw them retract. That's why I said that, because I saw them retract it, and it's probably, like I said, I think somewhere in the 50 to 60 hour range is probably like where a lot of people are going to end up landing. If you do 20 or 30 hours of story content and you go tackle some side stuff, maybe by that end of that, you're at like 50, 60 hours, my guess.
Yeah.
Which is solid. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's plenty.
To be completely honest, I think the last time I checked, I have like 14 days total in hours in State of Decay 2. So it's possible. You can do it. Oh, yeah. But I mean, I loved Dying Light. I've got it pre-ordered. I will play Dying Light 2, and I'll probably sink a large chunk of hours into it. And well, all our topics can't be, ooh, that's interesting, that's fun. The next one is a bit of a downer. So, developer GSC Game World has announced that Stalker 2, which was slated for spring 2022, has now been delayed all the way to winter of 2022.
No.
Yes. Stalker 2, originally slated for April 28th, is now December 8th. And what they said is the extra time is needed to fulfill our vision and achieve the desired state of the game that we know our fans are looking for. Can't you just like give it an update or something a couple months in? Yeah. I don't know. I actually went and got the first Stalker, the whole collection with all the DLC on Steam, and I was playing it the other day, and that's like the first one. It's wow. It is. If you get noticed going into a camp, you better be ready to throw down, because it's yeah, there's no running away from them. They'll hunt your ass down.
Games were built different back then, man. Like they didn't play
right.
They didn't play around.
I didn't realize how far back it was either until I started seeing some of the cutscenes in the beginning. Dude, I'm like, oh my goodness, what? Oh, this is from the 90s.
We have,
oh my goodness,
we have progressed very quickly in the last 14 years of gaming since 2000. What was it, 2006 or 2007 when that game came out? So you're talking
Yeah.
like
Yes.
you're talking like towards the beginning of the 360 era, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do. Technology makes these leaps every time we find a new Roswell crash. It's just
yeah,
saying. It's written
Uh,
it's written between the pages.
every time the aliens give us a little chunk of hardware, we get a new console. Man, that's why I think about microwaves. I mean, come on, we definitely got those from aliens.
Oh, Thember. He says that companies are afraid to pull the next Cyberpunk 2077 act.
100% agree. I think that Cyberpunk should, if Cyberpunk had been delayed, especially in the market that we're in right now, people would be talking about that game in a completely different light. It seems like they needed at least another year of development time on that game to truly make it okay. And honestly, I think that their biggest mistakes, and I'm gonna die on this hill, but I think they should have dropped the previous generation. I don't think that those games should have ever dropped for PS4 or Xbox One. Because that's where a lot of the main issue problems came from. Was the fact that they were struggling to run on those systems. With Stalker 2,
Mhm.
man, listen, that was easily probably one of my most hyped games of the year. I'm not going to say I'm not disappointed because I 100% am. However, um, the fact that it's still dropping into Game Pass and they need more time tells me that they actually care. And that also tells me that by the time we get this game in December, if I can somehow pull myself away from Starfield, then I'm absolutely going to love this game.
Yeah, so true.
The hard part is going to be actually pulling myself away from Starfield. Because
I don't think there's no hope in that. Yes, I'm going to throw myself so deep in Starfield. I'm going to feel like I was playing Oblivion again on my 360,
I
which
mean,
I
if
got
it's
really deep into.
if it's Han Solo in space, man, like I am in, 100%.
Oh, Han
Um,
Solo in space. I've never heard it put that way. It's different.
I am
Oh man.
I am excited for that. And like I said, I think Stalker. Listen, look at the 2021, right? Look at that back at Xbox. It had some day and date drops in the Game Pass and a few things that were happening early on in the year, but a lot of delays and things happened. But then we got Halo, we got Forza Horizon 5. So we had a strong end of 2021, right? And I think that Sony's going to come out hard, right, with February with Horizon Forbidden West. You're going to get God of War Ragnarok, right? But then it's going to get pretty quiet, right? Like we don't really know what's going on at Sony as far as like from February through the end of the year. Whereas we know we're getting Starfield. It's easily one of the most anticipated games of the year. It's my most anticipated game of the year. So I think that we're going to have a strong fall. And, if these games need more time to come out looking good, I mean, dude, what we saw of Stalker 2, that game looked amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Yes,
game looks like a graphical showpiece. So if they need some time to work the kinks out, I'm fine with it because I want to play that game and I want it to melt my eyeballs,
yeah. So true. So true. Well, let's see. Oh, I heard that Undead Labs has started a new studio that is going to solely work on just animations.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not too sure. I mean, I love Undead Labs, but I'm not too sure that I'm okay with them being the one that started this studio that's going to help all the first party studios with animations and stuff. Because have you seen the animations in State of K2? They could use some work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
when
I
you
think they should build a portfolio and like put some animations in State of Decay 2 that makes sense, and we'll go
I
from
mean,
there.
it's just, I mean, come on now. I know that the jank, as it's referred to, can be charismatic at times and even a little, a little niche, but
Yeah,
oh, goodness. That
Shout out
was
to
definitely,
Skyrim, Fallout. You know.
yeah. It's like, why didn't like Bethesda start this studio that's gonna do all this? Oh man, and at the same time, I don't want to throw shade, but again, at the same time, the proof is in the pudding, and I enjoy the pudding. I'm just not saying it's very smooth.
Yeah.
Well, I know everybody loves Phil Spencer and what he's done for Xbox, and he's been there for what, um, 3 decades, 3.5 decades, something like that. But there is going to be a day where Phil Spencer steps down, and it's looking like his VP, Miss Sarah Bond, is going to be stepping into that role. And I love Sarah Bond's energy,
Yeah.
but I love Phil's craftiness when it comes to the video game space and the players. And we have him to thank for putting us where we are in the gaming landscape now, in relation to where we were in 2013. So, what do you think? Power, is Sarah Bond? I mean, in the hierarchy, she's the obvious choice because she's VP.
Right.
But do you think she's tailored for the job?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're already, in my opinion, they're probably already grooming her, right, to take the spot. If you notice, she's one of the few that are really getting out there and being vocal in the community. She's on Twitter. She interacts with a lot of people on Twitter. I see all the time, right? She's typically always involved in some way in the shows, and she's being seen. She's voicing or hosting something or talking about something. People know her. People like her. I think that she would make a good head of Xbox. It seems like she cares, and obviously she's listening and learning from what Phil's been doing. But obviously, Phil's not getting any younger. He's going to eventually want to move on to a new project or step down or do something. And I think that I think that she'd be great for the brand. You know what I mean? I think she should have a vested interest, and that's something that you look for in somebody who's taking over something. So
Yeah. Fabio in the chat, he says, "What about Matt Booty?" The dude at Xbox that has the coolest name of anybody who's ever been at Xbox, Mr. Booty.
Yeah, I agree, but
He's no longer at Blizzard, correct?
Matt?
Yeah, didn't Matt Booty leave? Who was it that left? Rod Ferguson.
You talk, yeah. Rod Ferguson left the coalition, and then what's his name? That took over Blizzard. That was Xbox Quick. Remember?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Yep. Mm-hmm. That guy.
Yep.
I guess
I can't remember.
Oh, it's gonna come to me, and then I'm gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's right." I was thinking, what about anybody know where what Sean Layden's doing these days?
Right.
Wouldn't that kill him?
He's probably sipping on some,
Some
mojitos, chilling out, hanging. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing.
Oh gosh, Fabio thinks there's something wrong with me. Bob, dude, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, dude. I've just kind of ran out of topics, and we're at 35 minutes because there's only two of us. Oh man,
I don't know, man. I think this Sarah would make a good leader. You know what I'm saying? She just has that leader mentality, and I think that she'll do good. I think that eventually, whenever that comes, I don't think that Phil's going to be jumping off the horse like anytime soon. Personally,
Denver answered it.
Oh yeah, Mikey Barra. Yeah. That's what I was thinking about, because I always follow him on Twitter, because the dude's he's like a wild god, man. This guy is like, dude, if there's anybody that's like that would know World of Warcraft and work at Blizzard, it's that guy. Like a lot of the gaming community over there kind of respects him because of that, because he's always in there doing like, crazy stuff and raids and all that stuff. So I don't know, man. I like the team at Xbox. I like the fact that they interact with people. I like the fact that they talk to their community, and they interact. I feel like sometimes Sony kind of sits on this or they feel that they sit on this like Mount Olympus off in the corner, in this area, and they come step down like Moses did with the tablets and and give a state of play. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the Xbox community kind of feels like it's for the people. You know what I mean? Like they interact and do a lot of stuff, and that's kind of like why I was like more drawn to it. I mean, the games obviously, because I couldn't not play Halo, Gears, Forza, any of these games that I've kind of grown up on. So for me, like, it kind of wasn't an option to not play there. But I don't know, man. Like, if she steps up and she does great work, I think that she has the potential to do even bigger things than Phil. But obviously time will tell. There has always been a lot of movement in the upper echelon of this stuff, but the good thing is now we're not in a post 2013 era where Satya is questioning whether or not we need an Xbox. I think that Xbox has established itself and has turned it into a pillar of gaming. I don't think that Xbox is going anywhere soon. And also something that we could probably talk about is the overall sales of the series consoles and how they compare to where they were in the Xbox One era. I don't know if you heard any of that kind of stuff, Bob.
No, unfortunately, Xbox has always been very close to the chest on their numbers. But I have some speculation. So I think I heard PS5 around 12 million, and the Xbox Series consoles are around 11, I think.
Right. So what they did is Phil Spencer in an interview basically had said that the series consoles have already outsold the Xbox One consoles at the time of basically at the same time frame that they were both in, right? So by methods of deduction and people that analyze this kind of stuff online came to the agreement that the Xbox One was at or around 12 million consoles at this point in its lifespan. Right? So one could deduce that if they've already sold more than that, then they're at least above 12 million. Another interesting bit of information was the VG charts had listed the PlayStation 5 at somewhere around 17 million or something crazy. And we found out that actually was not true. It wasn't even close to that. So the harsh reality for a lot of people on Twitter to have to come to terms with is that the Xbox is selling, and it's actually selling really well. And on top of that, it's a lot closer to the PS5 than they ever would have imagined. And the fact that there's shipping constraints and the fact that they can't make these consoles as fast as they need to is the perfect blending for Microsoft to step in with that little Series S as a Trojan horse into your living room and say, hey, you can't find a PlayStation and we know you want to play games. We're going to offer this to you. And on top of that, you're going to have access to Game Pass. Well, I don't know if you bought a whole bunch of games back in the day, but now you pay $15 or you start with $1 and now you have access to hundreds of games. Mind you, they just literally dropped the Hitman collection, or it's going to be I think it's going to be in there on the 20th. And so we just got Mass Effect Legendary Edition. huge game coming into Game Pass. And then on top of that, now we're getting the entire Hitman collection going into Game Pass. So little things like that may not seem like the biggest hit or the biggest splash in the gaming community, it begins to add up, right? It's the little pieces that start to add up, and then you start seeing this huge amount of gaming interest that you're going to have or time, invested. You're talking about thousands of hours of content that's just sitting there waiting to be played. So,
yeah.
Well, also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Thimber reminded me of something. So now the console count is getting so close that people are trying to say that they should not count the Series S and the Series X like in the same like quote unquote next generation, because they're saying that like somehow the Series S, because it's selling so well, shouldn't be counted into or counted versus the PS5, even though it has just as many features. It has more 120 frames per second games than PS5, and it does basically the same stuff. It just does it at a lower resolution. The extra power is coming from the ability to upscale to 4K, right? Like if you're playing at 1080p, you're going to get similar graphic settings. That's just a fact.
Let's remember, okay? Teraflops don't matter.
Yeah, they don't matter, but they can be somewhat of an indicator. And also, too, it's all about the architecture, right? So think about like this. I always look at it from like a GPU perspective. 6 flops of Ampere architecture is not the same as a previous generation architecture, because it's more efficient. It could be faster. It could be just overall better, right? So of quote unquote 4 flops, but 4 flops with RDNA 2, quick resume, ray tracing, access, and all the new technologies like Fidelity Super Resolution that's being implemented in the games like Back 4 Blood, Call of Duty Vanguard. That's going to allow better and better AI upscaling of resolution. You're going to see more and more of these developers having the ability to keep up with these newer games.
Don't forget about that CPU and that M.2 solid state drive.
That's
next gen too.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like the entire console is next generation. The people, all of a sudden, we went from we went an entire PS4, Xbox One generation, basically begging developers to find a way to give us 60 frames per second, right? Like every game was like, does it have an option for 60 frames? Can it do it? Can it not do it? And now all of a sudden we're focused more on resolution. And it's very strange because the narrative has shifted now. And because the Series S is doing 60 FPS updates, 120 FPS updates, and it's doing it for $299, now we're focused on the fact that they might be running at 1080p, not obviously neglecting the fact that a lot of the games that are playing on PS5 at 60 frames per second with updates are playing at 1440p, or they're playing at 1080p. They're not playing at native 4K. So to say that like somehow the Series S isn't counted into these numbers and these factors is mind-blowing to me. Not only is I think it's a part of it, but I think it's a staple, because it's going to be in more homes than any of these other consoles. So,
well, I'm curious if they're going to start adding PS4 numbers to the PS5, because they're making those still.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, couple, at least 1 million, I think is the number that I heard. And like I said, I think it's a knee-jerk reaction attempt to try to keep up, and they know that these games are going to be cross-gen. The real interesting thing is when is Sony going to finally bend the knee and admit that Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine are coming to PS4? You know what I mean? That's what I think. That would be a huge, huge thing if they did that. But what do I know?
So Ratchet and Clank and Demon Souls. Yeah. Those were the only 2 games that you actually had to have a PS5 to play. You couldn't play them anywhere else.
Yep. And for all intents and purposes, 100% Ratchet and Clank they could scale down to play on a PS4. 100%, right? There's nothing about that game. They've already basically debunked the whole like, oh, we needed the SSD kind of thing, because that's not the case, right? So we know that Returnal, for instance, right? Like Returnal is a decent looking game. It could 100% run on a PS4. I don't see any issues with it being able to run on a PS4 with the proper scaling and some development, pressure being put on them,
But Power, how can I go through a portal in Ratchet and Clank and be in another world like that?
It's called game design, right? Like they're not doing. I mean, they are doing some cool things, but look at all the other games. Plenty of other games have done it. Titanfall 2 did it, right? And it did it really well. You know what I mean? That was one of my favorite games of the last generation, and I was instantly bopping through worlds via technology. So,
So Thimber's talking about Concrete.
What?
It's a game called Concrete that's only on PC and PlayStation that he wishes Xbox had.
Oh, really? Okay.
Concrete.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
I'm guessing King Kong and Concrete.
And Concrete. So King Kong breaks concrete. That's the premise of the game.
I don't know. I mean, doesn't King Kong break concrete just if he walks too hard?
Yeah, probably. It's a big boy.
Depends on how thick that concrete is.
Yeah, there better be some good concrete.
Oh, love it. So, you want to call it?
Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit of a lighter week. It's just us, and I think we can have a couple.
I mean, because if we had like 4 panel members, we'd still be talking about intros right now.
Oh yeah, probably.
Still be talking about what we've been playing.
Yeah, more than likely. But it could be a good opportunity for us to hop off and play some games.
This is true.
Yeah, I got some stuff downloading, and definitely want to finish up some stuff, and maybe
my food just got here.
Some Halo. Oh, there you go. So there it is. See, it was perfect timing. It was meant to happen.
All right. So without further ado, thank you everybody for coming and listening to these two friends just ramble on about the gaming news and then run out of stuff to talk about, and then we just rambled on about nothing.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It was good.
Power Man, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PowerMan4K. You can find me on Xbox PowerMan4K. I'm pretty much PowerMan4K everywhere. If you're listening to this podcast, shoot me an ad on Xbox. I'm usually on there doing something, so feel free.
All right. And this is your host, K.Y Bob. You can find me anywhere. K.Y Bob. Nobody else wanted it. Don't figure, huh? Anyway, like, share, subscribe, check us out, and we'll see you on the next one.
Later, people.